example myself. We will talk about the lights in the meeting. We got that a good handle on the lights. We saved quite a bit of money. We got six of the seven working. I'm real proud of the guys doing that.
Is it replacing valves?
No, just bulbs. They have bulbs, and he rented a scaffolding. We got it there. They recommended switching over to LEDs, but they're really too long. They're 8-foot tubes. They said that's
Yeah, but anyway,
so we'll try and for next year's budget with it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we ought to tear a couple houses down. I think that we need to start thinking as a group that money's got to be spent by the end of next year. But we have problems with the budget today. There's things that we need to, we look at some dilapidated equipment we need to do things for the residents of this community, road work, buildings, services we can provide to this township. And I think as a group, first let's pass that resolution. And then when we ask legal on how, okay, I took your template and I filled it out. Look at that. Is that good? Okay, then give me a yes. Then exactly how, and maybe Tracy already knows this answer, how do we decide, so I want to spend $10 here and $30 there, you should, does all that money have to be on the resolution, or since I did that, I want to get on how we do the next step on that? Do you,
well, you probably need to get a grocery list together on what you want, so you guys can decide on that, because it's gonna start going fast. The process will start running fast once you get the resolution going. You have till 2024 to encumber the money. Encumber, you don't have to spend it till 2026, but you gotta encumber by 2024, and that's the time flies.
yeah.
So you can't, meetings go and come and go and come. You need to start working on a grocery list of what you want. You said several things, but you need to write them down.
I agree with that. We need to, and that's something that we need to start working on, guys. The trustee, you two trustees on it, that's what I'm saying.
And then that grocery list needs to go to legal, to see if those things fit under this.
That's all I was gonna do, I just wanna clarify. You're talking about the attorneys that we can pay for with that money.
I just said use them, yes, use them for everything.
Okay.
Yes, we could, and that money can be used to pay them.
Right, that's
We
my
know that.
question.
But
That's my question.
they are, listening to their two presentations I watched, they are so very educated in this. They knew how it started in the beginning, they know the changes the Fed's made in this final draft and what's going on with that.
But
I want to ask them, I want to talk to them. They're the people that need to make that decision, not our local, because the local team hasn't dealt with it.
they're offering,
That's what I thought you said the first time.
training. I don't know if you got that email. You should have been getting the email. I'll have to send it to all you guys about non-NEUs, I can't remember, non-entitlement units. They have training for, so you can learn about the final rule and all that stuff. It's an overview of it.
Send it to me, I want to see that.
It's a Zoom. You should have probably got an email from SLRP.
Okay.
And, cause you and I were on that, and you should have been getting that in. You may have been ignoring it.
Well, I saw the one, and I had to join a login thing, and I tried to log in, and it never sent the thing.
But this last one that came was just to sign up for training.
Okay, I'll look. Do you have a call?
Just what they're talking about, that you've got to have it, encumbered by 24 and spent by 26. So 2 years, and another 2 years. In an 18-month span, the doors at 59 went from 22,000 to 35,000 in 18 months. They said all their equipment, all their parts, supplies.
Everything's gone up.
Everything.
Everything's
Yeah,
gone
right,
up.
right.
Everything.
So, and did you tell me the best price on the door at the road center was under $5?
Matter of fact, one used Google Earth to look at your door. And
Oh, that guy, yeah.
He did 12 by 12. It's actually,
Yeah, it's 14.
come out, it's a 14 by 12. Plus, he did nothing about an opener or anything. So both of them are, the other two, you asked me, call 3, I called 4. One doesn't do any doors that day. The other two have provided information, and no one's got to come out and get a new measurement and then look on the inside. Because in that Quonset hut, one of your sides totally rotted out, and I guess they tore it down and put it
Oh, they need to do it all, correct.
So He didn't want to quote anything more until he physically came in and got inside the building.
Okay,
So I should have all of that for you for your next meeting.
thank you, okay. Yes, ma'am.
I had two questions about 59. From years ago,
This is a work session.
they were talking about the unencumbered money for
In
Station
the work
59.
session, we're supposed to do the work session.
Okay, sorry,
Never
with
mind
the
then.
meeting, sorry, Linda.
Never mind.
Okay, so anyway, that's what I had, old business. Anybody got any old business they want to discuss?
The only old business I had is again that email from that gentleman. Do you want to call Mayor?
I'll talk about that.
Yeah,
I sent you a response on that.
yeah, so he,
You see, he's trying to do trustee now, because he went through Jim for a while, he went through Man.
No, he
And
started with me.
Okay.
Which one?
he's at 10,
He came to
Master.
a meeting and said
Me?
it was a.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
He owns
All right.
3 possible.
Okay,
he probably got the same attitude I got, go ahead.
this is over the assessments.
Huh?
is that what it is? Cause he wasn't clear, he kind of flip-flopped. He said the lighting assessment, then he said property.
It started out with lighting stuff.
Correct. Okay, he's got 3 parcels. He's getting 3 lights. Obviously, that neighborhood needs extra lighting, especially to protect the building. They don't want to pay for it. And he keeps trying to put the expense on us.
Okay.
And I was a little worried that he tried to make a deal with another trustee to have us quietly pay that. And I would,
He tried to make the deal with the county, and the county told him that's up to the, it's up to the township.
but the thing is, because everybody back in the lighting assessment, it had sticker shock for some folks. He got hit with it, but it does protect his property. He's got other issues there that need to be cleaned up, but it's a game of hot potato.
So, my response, and you guys saw my email, what I told the man was that we got to treat everybody the same. I think what Steve Roush can do to us. So if you I own 3 parcels right next to each other, the same, I'm not in a lighting district, but people that own multiple pieces of property, if it is a separate piece of property, it is supposed to pay that. And if you let him do that, then you gotta let everybody do it. That's just gonna open a can of worms we wanna open. I told him, you need to spend X amount of dollars, hire a surveyor, have it resurveyed back into one deed, and then go through the process. You could do that it wouldn't be that expensive. You pay for your money, what you're paying in the fees of the lighting and your assessments, it pay for itself in time. So have it redone into one lot, and you're good to go.
So he just needs to contact Montgomery County. That's the end.
He actually did contact Montgomery County, they did tell him that wasn't the answer he wanted to hear.
I'm just gonna reiterate that that's what you need to do.
No, now, they're not gonna collect, Carl Keith's not gonna collect those assessments. However, if the property ever changes hands, at that point, we can get the money back off that. So if this issue doesn't get resolved, just means at some point, we'll get our money. It's just, we can't do hardcore collections together.
Well, I just wanna have a response from him because evidently, like you said, he's tried everybody.
Yeah, you a little block, we try you know.
Right, so I wanted that, so I let him know that I needed to find out, before I can give him a response.
But if you open the door to give him, any exception, any discount, it opens the door that everybody that got assessed can come back honest.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think I don't know if he was confused or he just played that way. Because I asked him if it had to do with the assessment where they came and they ended up billing us back bill because of their error, but everybody had to pay it. So he wasn't clear, that's why I was confused, like what he needed.
There's also been an increase in what they're charging for assessments to cover the cost of the LED upgrades. So there's a little bit extra in there.
Yeah. I know we all had the same answer.
He already knows the qualities for 4 more years,
Yeah.
2 more years anyway.
Yeah, okay, so, any more new business?
Yes.
Yes?
I've got a resolution for the regular meeting. This is the agreement that Taft sent over to engage us. Now, it caught me off guard because when we approached the county on handling the unionization matter, they basically conflicted themselves out and gave us a referral, okay? I was very confused, and that's why I reached out to Peterson to find out about this, because it looked like that originally they were gonna try to bill this through the prosecutor's office, but no. But what this agreement, the way it was explained to me from the last email from Peterson, is this gives us a discount. We're basically getting a discounted rate by doing this agreement this way. The only thing that really jumps out at me is they've got it worded not to exceed 50,000. It's in page 2, towards the top. But we need to vote out whether or not we're gonna accept the agreement and take an official position on working with Taft.
Well, it still stands that the county will represent us. Somebody's gotta help us.
No, but the thing's worded, they've got their hands in this still. I mean, usually when you conflict out on something, they're out.
Okay, yeah.
But there's some language in there where they still got their hands in this. So,
Yeah, on the first page. So what would happen if they exceeded that amount and there was no resolution?
we'd have to do an updated resolution for appropriations. But it depends on the direction of the case. So, so,
The case is shrunk. Correct. You remember
it's
that?
an executive. I'd say that gives us quite a bit of representation. It's a little, to me, it's a little bit overkill, but this is their agreement. Ward Barentine is involved with this, so,
So when you write the resolution, you're gonna make sure the money's in the budget. And you have to put all that information in the resolution, where you wanna take it from.
well, the way that I structured the resolution was, because it's a road and fire issue, it'd be shared by the two, but what fund code, I left that open for whatever PO we cut to deal with that.
You can't tell POT know what line item you're gonna use, and if we didn't put it in the budget, you're gonna have to put some money in that budget, so that's why I'm asking. You said road and fire, but did you put money for this in the road now?
No.
You didn't put it in the fire.
No, we just have
So
to
you
go
have
back
to
to
go
the
back.
minute.
We talked
You
about.
can change that, but, yeah, they're not the issue, but the fire department's budget is tight right now.
Yeah, we gotta do it. It's not gonna go away, we gotta do it.
Yeah, well,
But
I mean, we
you
can,
can't just
we
accept it
can,
until you have.
we can take care of, we haven't even gotten an invoice, so this just basically agrees that we're gonna engage the firm. It gets their system up and running with billing, and then if we could take care of the appropriations at the next meeting. So, but I thought we'd at least cover a little bit of the verbiage in there before we get into the meeting. So, that was the big thing that jumped, the 50, not to exceed 50 was the thing that really jumped at me.
I mean, that's not a big deal.
You give an
That's
hourly
what you
rate, though.
agree on 50,000, at least you got a baseline, and you can
Yeah.
put a maximum 50,000. And then you can determine where you wanna take it.
Well, not to exceed 50 is not to exceed 50, so you talk about going and increasing it later, why would you have to increase it later? It says not to exceed 50.
You wouldn't. I was just gonna say, you just decide where you're taking it from.
Well, when Taft made the pitch to us, they said each step has different levels of work. So
Yes.
depending on how far it goes depends on this, but that covers this. The way I see it, this would cover is going through probably a lot of the setup process if it goes to that point. So it covers a lot of legal fees, and I think what they quoted us in the meeting exact for that gives us a lot of room to work. We're gonna know after we see a couple invoices whether or not, how long that would last.
Okay.
Okay. Any more new business?
I gave you all this paper. Since we don't have a code and zoning, we can't just let things like just fall apart until we get somebody. So I just kind of created a little something, and this is just a sample. It can be tweaked or whatever, but it's basically, this is an example. Because we've been having a lot of issues with people with trash and all kind of debris. I drove around, and today I seen where somebody made a makeshift basketball hoop on one of the poles, which I have to address at some point, but we need to be letting residents or people in the community aware of certain things. So that is just dealing with the trash, okay? And so I don't know if you really noticed this, but I noticed that people are starting to put cardboard out, and I believe they're assuming that the road department's gonna pick it up, because previously they used to. So I don't think people know whether or not that's what we do. So that letter just says, we don't do that. We don't pick up, Jefferson Township doesn't pick up your recycles and all that. So if you look at the letter, it's just like a first point of contact so that people are aware, and we're at least working toward when we get somebody in.
Because you got a copy of that for me?
I thought I handed it to you.
That's good.
Here, it's hard, oh, sorry about that. Have you one?
Yeah, that may be given here.
And then, like, I don't know if you guys received that, the attachment in the paper, excuse me,
So is
in the
everybody
mail.
different days?
Yes,
Okay,
and this is just, I just made a copy of mine.
okay.
But I will contact the city of Dayton and have them send out a list of all the different,
It's on,
areas.
it's on Dayton, whatever.
Yeah.
App is, it's all on
I
there.
So-
don't know if they still have it, but Dayton used to have a, pickup door tag.
Oh,
I'm about to pick up door tag.
Basically a door hanger. I mean, it's like, instead of mailing the letter and dealing with postage, to me, if somebody, because most people expect if they put it on a curb, it's gonna get by, they don't know they have to go that extra step to call Dayton and schedule it.
right.
However, whoever we got patrolling on the streets, if they see a couch sitting there too long, like for weeks, well, it takes 5 minutes to swing through, put one of the door tags on the door, say, you gotta call date that was picked up.
That would be a code enforcement person to do that. In no way will have any.
Well, we got our staff out running around, they see something,
So I think they went to there's one online on the app, Dayton, whatever that Dayton app is. And all that stuff is on there. I don't think, like he said, I don't think they handle that anymore. Now you have to print it off yourself. Or something.
Right,
So using a letter like that is probably what you would have to.
right, because some of the people that move out here, they don't have a clue how it works. You know, and a lot of the people that are doing this are people that's renting.
That's right, that's right.
And not all, I'm just saying, a lot of them are people that's renting. And so
Stay out of the
if
street,
you,
it does what?
you don't know unless somebody tells you. You know what I'm saying? So I think, and this would just suffice until we got somebody in to be able to do what you're talking about.
No, we also, and this is something that we got added into our trash contract, we've got 2 bulk pickup days a year. So we can actually use this letter to set our bulk pickup day and somehow promote it and flush the system, so to speak. I mean, I imagine it'll be busy if we say it's free pickup.
So it's almost April.
Yeah.
When are we gonna set our first bulk trash pickup? Spring cleaning? You haven't set
There's
yet,
a spring and fall installment, so,
but we don't have a date yet.
well, yeah, that's the thing, we should set a date and promote it.
We need to contact Dayton and verify that first. They'll do this date. So they have their people scheduled to do that. People available.
Probably on the pickup Friday, we already have that, because everybody gets picked up on a Friday, about.
For that recycle or the bulk?
Well, it's a certain Friday that they do, I mean, every other, up to how it goes.
I mean, there's gonna be some months, maybe schedule it by zone or something, I don't know. I mean, figure out a way to do it. Since this is our first time through, we'll have to chat with Dayton on.
That's what I'm just saying, when you chat with them, what you don't take, because big trash is, we didn't pick everything up either, hazardous, and only so many tires, and they have tire pickup, they have tire day.
Well, they promote that on their own.
Yeah.
So the solution is we're gonna contact the city of Dayton to find out, to set up a date for this. Would you do that, Jim?
Good.
Okay. All right, thank you. Sounds good. And then you let me know, and then we can kind of work together on revising this letter, or however you want. You can take it, and then just let me
Well, the
know.
website, post it at the grocery stores, post it at local stores around.
Everywhere we can, because I think it's important that we have to inform people,
Yes,
because if they
we
don't
need
know.
to do something, right.
Yeah, and I did talk to Tracy about sometime this year coming up with a newsletter, at least once a year, that annual newsletter, so that we can let people know about that. Let people know about the events at the fire department, like they just had the banquet or the recognition that they had. Those things, some of the pictures you all took, we could put some of those things on the website, you know, just to show people that, hey, this is what, you know, our fire department is doing. So.
That's a good picture on the website.
Yes, time.
Yeah, I'm good.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, give a roll call, please, Tracy.
Trustee, McLaughlin,
Yes.
trustee McGuire,
Yes.
trustee Black.
Yes.
We were adjourned at 6:59.
Did I give you this, Jim? I thought I handed
Did you
it.
make a motion?
It's just,
I made motion, Jim seconded.
I made that. You can read it.
I gotta go down and get me some batteries.
We both signed off on it. But I want
Which
you
is
to
next
go
meeting?
there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll leave.
Person, where are they at? I'll get for it.
They just drew away the keys off.
You need to access the one door anyway.
Then a little pack, then a little pack.
And
That energizer took away, so a little bitty
Right.
pack.